Hi, I'm Chef Kendra, Head of Culinary Operations here at Thompson Atlanta Hotel and the Bold Maven magazine's April 2024 cover gem.
How did you get into this industry?
Um, so I almost burnt my dad's house down, and I was deep frying, and I can't remember what I was deep frying, but it was to the point where it was a grease fire, and my initial thought was to run through the house with a burning pot of grease, and I melted the carpet. And we threw the pot out the window. Don't do that. And so we had to get the carpet replaced. But from that moment on, I knew, you know what, let me perfect this. Let me get better at this. And I just kept going from then.
What was your experience like at Le Cordon Bleu?
College was probably the best learning years of my life. It was only a 2-year program, but between the dorms and the apartment living, and I was exposed to going out and having fun and being away from my parents and branching out. And we made it our own. We made it our own college experience, even though it wasn't a 4-year school. Like the community, the camaraderie, I actually still keep in touch with my classmates. So Le Cordon Bleu was an amazing experience of growth, personal growth, learning about food and all those things, but it was not your typical college experience, but we made it. We made it our own. And I'm very grateful for that.
At what age did you first start cooking?
Ooh. Okay, so I was a little girl and I would go into the kitchen. My grandmother cooked all the time and she had the arms, right? The squishy jelly arms. And I would go in the kitchen, I would squeeze on those arms. But I didn't know the difference between like cabbage and lettuce. So I would make sandwiches and put cabbage on them and not lettuce. So there was some mistakes there. But it was the grandma in the kitchen. My grandma's from South Georgia, like Brunswick, Janko Island, say Summer Island, Needwood, Georgia. So it was those juicy, jiggly arms making mac and cheese that had me falling in love with food.
During the pandemic, you started your own private chef business. What motivated that new venture and how was your experience?
I felt like the pandemic was a time for everybody to learn about themselves, and either you're gonna sink or you're gonna swim, right? So it was important for people to learn about themselves during that time, and the things that you were feel for to do, you had the opportunity to do them. And that was just a time for me. I wasn't working. I was laid off. I lost my job. I was out of work for a year. And those benefits were like, they were gonna run out. So I was like, girl, what you gonna do? And I stepped out on faith and I applied for my LLC. And I started doing private chefing. A lot of people were scared to go out to eat. A lot of people didn't want to go back into restaurants. So it was a huge market there for people that didn't want to go outside. And I wanted to tap into that market. And that's what I did. I got business cards made. I started cooking at home, posting my videos, posting my plates, and really trying to put myself out there. And then where I live at the time was nothing but car dealerships. So I took food to the car dealerships with my card and was like, hey, how are you feeding your people? Let me feed your people, right? I'm sure you don't want Chick-fil-A all the time. I got you. And next thing you know, I started getting phone calls from Jeep and Nissan and Cadillac, and every Saturday I was booked and busy dropping meals off. And then I just started working my way into a lot of entrepreneurs and their workshops and feeding them, and it just became a thing. And I was very, very proud of myself to do that.
How did it feel to land your current position as head of culinary experiences at the Thompson Hotel Atlanta?
I felt like I had won the lottery. Like, the crazy thing about life is when you pray about stuff or you manifest things, and when you get there, it hits differently. And for me, this was like, wow, I really prayed for this time. I prayed for a moment like this. I spoke this over myself. And here I am. I finally have this opportunity. And it just really felt like I made it. That's how it felt.
What is something about your industry that you wish the public was more aware of?
It's hard. And it's a lot of hours. And the chef is the last person to eat, if you eat it all. And it's a lot of wear and tear on the body. And hospitality people need a little more compassion than what the world gives or what the world sees. I feel like The Bear is probably like a really good example of like the kitchen life, the restaurant life. It's a really good show, but it kind of gives you a glimpse of what it's like to sit on a milk crate in a 12-hour shift just to try to catch a breather or a break, or the tickets, and you can hear the ticket machine in your sleep, like just before you go into a restaurant and give your server a bad attitude because you had a long day, they've also had a long day.
What does it mean for you to be a woman, and specifically a young Black woman in this industry?
Ooh. It's difficult, just like anything else. Don't come to work with an attitude, right? Make sure you're smiling. It's all about politics and which politics you do want to play or don't want to play, and staying true to yourself in that process, because you are who you are. The industry is hard. And sometimes, just like with anything else, it might take us a little longer to get there, but you just have to trust in yourself and your talents and know that you're at the right place at the right time. It's a difficult industry to be in, but know that you're able and capable. That's what makes the difference.
When you look back at the past few years in this industry, what memories keep you motivated?
I wouldn't say mine are industry related. Mine are more personal. My father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer during the pandemic. And that was tough. And I started my business during the pandemic. And that motivates me because we planned his funeral maybe 4 times, maybe 5. And it got bad, and it back and forth, back and forth. So for me, motivation is that. That motivated me more than anything to get back out there and get out of my house and get back in the work field and make sure if he was to leave tomorrow, I made him proud. And I still hold on to that.
Last question. To that young version of you that almost burnt your dad's house down, what would you like to say to her?
Ooh. I would tell her, you are the blessing for the blessing. And when I say that, everything that you've prayed for, everything that you've manifested, when you ask for that blessing, you're already equipped with everything you need to be that blessing for the blessing that you're asking for. You have everything you need in your toolbox already to be great. You don't need anybody else's toolbox. You're good enough, you're smart enough, you're pretty enough, your features are beautiful enough, your chocolate skin is good enough. Like, you got it. You are the blessing for the blessing. And that's what I would tell her. That's all for now, but you can learn more about me at theboldmaven.com.